traveling the world with the love of your life is everyone's dream. Well, our next guest, Lisa Niver, was doing exactly that until she found herself being abused by the man she loved. Here is her story.
The relationship I had with my ex-husband, from the very beginning, looking back, there were problems. The last day I ever saw my ex-husband, we were in Thailand and we were walking to lunch, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I was lying on the ground. I was so shocked. He was screaming at me. He was telling me how I was a terrible wife and I was disloyal. I just thought, you are crazy. And I started yelling back at him. And I just thought, I'm very far from home. I don't have my passport. This is very bad. He stormed off. I finally got on the plane to leave Thailand and come back to the United States. I wasn't sure what was going to happen next. All I did was cry. I was still deciding at that point if I was getting separated, I was getting divorced, I was taking my name back. It really helped me to think about where I was in my life and what I wanted to do next.
To share more of her brave journey, please welcome Lisa Niver. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you. So, following up on that story, once you came back to America, what did you then do?
Well, thank you so much for having me. First, there was a lot of crying. Yeah. I felt like all I did was stay in my room and cry. And in the beginning of my book, it does talk about that I thought I was living in Crazy Town and I was hoping for an upgrade to Sucksville. But in reality, I was still doing stuff. I actually went and filmed a web series in Puerto Rico. I had been in Puerto Rico many times, and I was filming during the day. And I'm not sure if they knew or not, but every night I was crying. And it was really hard to keep going. But a few months later, I was on another trip in Italy, and we were in Venice. And we were supposed to go on a gondola ride. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, it's so romantic. Do I want to go? It's going to be so terrible. And I went with 3 girlfriends. We had the best time. We got off the gondola and we saw a friend that was on a different boat, and she was very sad. We took her out for drinks. She was crying. We helped her. She was in the middle of deciding if she was going to get separated. At that point, I was already divorced. So I went back to my hotel room at the end of the night and I thought, wait, I wasn't the one crying. So slowly, step by step, I started to feel better and do more things.
That's lovely.
So Lisa, here's your book, Brave-ish. How come you said brave-ish and not just brave?
That's a really good question. There's been a lot of contention about the title. So when I first left my marriage and I came back, everyone kept saying to me, oh, Lisa, you're so brave. And I did not feel brave. And I kept looking the word up in the dictionary, trying to understand why people kept saying I was brave. And do you remember in the movie Princess Bride when he keeps saying, inconceivable?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And that's what I felt like. I was like, brave? That is not how I feel. And over time, I came to understand that the experience other people have of you when they think you're brave is that you're afraid, but you're still moving forward, even if it's so tiny steps that you think you're moving backward. And that's why I felt like the beginning of the book and the journey is about kind of getting brave, that a lot of us don't feel brave, and we can all take small steps. Sometimes we need a buddy. I'm a scuba diver, and a lot of times it's much easier to do something new if you do it with someone else.
Well, your will to continue to move forward and your testimony teaching, I know, is helping out so many people be a little bravish today. But you set out to do 50 things before 50. How did you come up with this idea?
So it's a funny story, actually. I was on a trip in Texas, in Grapevine, and we were on a girlfriend getaway, and one of the women was turning 40, and she was doing a project, 40 things before she turned 40. And every day I kept saying, oh, that's such a good project. I really love your project. And everyone said to me, oh, why don't you do it? And I was like, I cannot do it. It's not going to happen. And finally, on the last day, a woman who was older than me said, can you not do this project because you're more than 40?
Oh.
And I said, yes, that's why I cannot do 40 before 40. She goes, well, why don't you do 50 before 50? And I looked at her, I said, well, why don't you do 60 before 60? And she said, oh no, I'm not admitting that. And so eventually I agreed to do it. And I found these books, Shonda Rhimes' Year of Yes, and Luann Kahn has a book, I Dare Me. And that really helped me because she does 365 things. And so I realized they don't have to all be huge things. They could be little things.
This is great. Oh, so sorry. I was
Sorry to wake you, Sam.
No, I was
Chilling.
completely engrossed in everything that you're saying. I want to do 50 things before I'm 50 as well. So thank you for already inspiring me. What has dating in your 50s been like?
Dating has been really fun. I've met men everywhere on the plane. I met a man in the swimming pool at the Fairmont in Toronto.
Okay.
And I did date on the apps for a while, and I've tried my best to make better choices.
Good for you, Lisa.
Hey, there we
Good
go.
for you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. DBL Nation, to learn more about Lisa's journey, pick up a copy of her book, Brave-ish. You can also visit her website at lisaniver.com. Thank you again, Lisa. Congratulations on all your success. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.